This video demonstrates how to configure a traffic control policy on a device and view the traffic control effect. Traffic control policies can be used to manage and control internet access traffic of users based on the source or destination address, service, application, user or user group, and other information in a fine-grained manner, so as to properly allocate egress bandwidth and ensure normal operation of key services. The device implements traffic control based on traffic control policies, bandwidth channels, and line bandwidth. The detection mechanism of the traffic control policy is as follows. When traffic enters the device, it is matched against traffic control policies based on the configured sequence of traffic control policies from up-down. When a policy is matched, the device rate limits traffic and forwards it based on the bandwidth channel referenced in the policy. When traffic is forwarded through a specified outbound interface, the traffic is rate limited by the bandwidth of the outbound interface. If the traffic rate is higher than the interface bandwidth, the device preferentially forwards packets of high priorities. Then the device sends packets of low priorities only when the traffic rate falls below the interface's bandwidth limit. The following describes how to configure a traffic control policy based on typical networking requirements. As shown in the figure, an enterprise deploys a device at the intranet egress to access the internet. The network administrator wants to ensure smooth service transmission of critical applications such as instant messaging application, Office OA, and enterprise official website, ensure at least 5 megabits per second bandwidth for non-key services such as HTTP and HTTP download without affecting running of key services, and ensure a good internet access experience for customers. Log into eWeb of the device and choose Policy. Security Defense. Security Policy. Click Create to create a permit policy from the trust source zone to the untrust destination zone to allow intranet users to access the internet. Enter basic information about the policy. Set SRC, security zone or interface to trust. DEST, security zone or interface to untrust. An action option to permit. Retain default settings for other parameters and click Save. Select Traffic Control Policy. Enable Traffic Control. Click Line Config to configure a traffic control line. Select the outbound interface. In this example, GE0/3 is selected. When you configure the line bandwidth, reserve 10% to 20% of the ISP's committed bandwidth for redundancy. In this example, the committed ISP's uplink and downlink bandwidth values are 100 megabits per second. The uplink and downlink line bandwidth values are set to 85 megabits per second. Click Save. Click Bandwidth Channel to add a bandwidth channel for critical applications. Click Create. Enter the bandwidth channel name. Enter the overall rate limit. This example sets the maximum uplink and downlink bandwidth values to 85 megabits per second. To rate limit traffic based on the IP address or user, select IP-based rate limit or user-based rate limit and configure rate limit parameters. Here, this configuration is not performed. Set priority to 1. Click Save. Create a bandwidth channel for non-critical applications in the same way. Set the maximum uplink and downlink bandwidth values to 85 megabits per second, and the guaranteed uplink and downlink bandwidth values to 5 megabits per second. In this example, the uplink and downlink bandwidth values per IP address is limited to 2 megabits per second for HTTP download traffic. Toggle IP or user-based rate limit on and set the maximum uplink and downlink bandwidth values per IP address to 2 megabits per second, that is, the upload or download speed cannot exceed 2 megabits per second. Set priority to 4. Click Custom Policy to add a traffic control policy for critical applications. Click Create. Enter the traffic control policy name. Select GE0/3. If traffic is rate limited based on the IP address, configure the source or destination IP address. Here, this configuration is not performed. On the app page, select Instant Messaging App and Work OA of critical applications. and the custom application custom Ruijie networks. You can click Add Custom App to create a custom application. The process is not displayed here. If traffic is rate limited based on users, configure users or user groups. Here, this configuration is not performed. Associate the traffic control policy with the bandwidth channel critical apps channel. Retain default settings for other parameters. Click Save. Create a traffic control policy for non-key applications in the same way. Select GE0/3. Select HTTP and HTTP download on the app page, and associate the traffic control policy with the bandwidth channel non-critical apps channel. Critical application verification. The downlink bandwidth for critical applications is close to 85 megabits per second. Verification of non-critical applications. The file upload and download speeds of each terminal do not exceed 2 megabits per second. The traffic control policy configuration is completed. Thank you for watching.